Hej og rigtig hjertelig velkommen til Boss og Bitter. Mit navn er Morten Jensen, og i dag der gør vi tingene en lille smule anderledes. Jeg har nemlig optaget et afsnit med Stephen Noh, som der er senior NBA-writer hen ved Sporting News, hvor vi forudsiger de store prisvindere for den kommende sæson, altså MVP, DPOY, Roy osv. osv. Det afsnit, det tænker jeg, at der ikke er nogen grund til os at tage på dansk, så derfor har jeg simpelthen været så fræk at sætte afsnittet ind i Boss og Bitter her i stedet for. Det betyder også, at til jer, der lytter til de NBA-podcast, altså stort set den engelske version af det her program, så kommer det afsnit ud om et par dage, så der behøves I ikke at lytte til det på den platform selvfølgelig. Men jeg giver jer danskerne først ret til at lytte til det, og det kommer altså her. Hi and welcome to the NBA podcast. My name is Morten Jensen, and today we'll be predicting NBA awards for the season 2026-2027. And obviously, when we're in the awards prediction game, you know who I've brought in, as per usual, for the third year in a row. It's Stephen Noh, senior NBA writer over at Sporting News. Steph, how are you? How are you, sir? And are you enjoying your summer?
I'm doing well. Yeah, it's nice to have a little bit of downtime. I was the draft guy this year too, so it was a hectic beginning of the summer, and yeah, now it's pretty boring middle of the summer, which is nice.
Right. It always happens this way, where just after the season, all of us content creators were like, oh, now we need a break. Then like a couple weeks come by and then we're like, this is boring. Like, when the hell is basketball back? It's the same thing over and over. I'm just like, we're in the middle of August and it's still a month and a half away. It just feels like half a year. I can't wait for basketball to be back.
Yeah, we could talk about Lonnie Walker's camp invite. I think that's like the only news going on. Russell Westbrook retired. That was cool, but yeah.
Yep.
We're in the doldrums for sure.
Yep, for sure. So we will be going through MVP, DPOY, Rookie of the Year, Sixth Man, Most Improved, Coach of the Year, and Executive of the Year. And we'll just both make our picks, and then we'll debate. And like last year, I had some wild takes. I think I'm less wild this year, frankly, but nevertheless, let's get into some lunacy. And Steph, will you start us off with your MVP selection?
Well, if you're asking for lunacy, you're not going to get it with MVP. I figured we're probably both going to have Wemby, so we could debate all the top guys. But yeah, my number one pick is Wemby. I mean,
yep.
Pretty easy case here. Best defender by a mile. Good offensive player, too. The Spurs are going to be great again. He's the guy that drives everything for the team. I think he's going to continue to get better on offense. You know, he's kind of a maniac about self-improvement, not even with basketball, just like with everything. Also, I think the team's going to get better because, you know, the younger guys are naturally going to get better. They got Billy Donovan as an assistant, which I think is going to be nice. You know, I think Mitch Johnson did a pretty good job in the regular season, but obviously, like, the finals performance was pretty rough. So, yeah, I think their coaching will get stronger. Supporting cast will get stronger. And he's just going to, I mean, he's still really young. This is like the worst he's going to be, and he's already the best player in the league.
Look, I have Wemby too. It's for the reasons that you stated. I've seen people mention that he might not be the favorite because like Dylan Harper's ascension, Stefan Castle is going to get better, you know, and every one of the young guys are probably going to take a step up. I just don't think it necessarily matters. Like, as you said, the defense alone is so utterly ridiculous that in itself is a major argument. And I don't think he necessarily has to go out there and average damn near 30 to become, you know, that MVP caliber player. If he heightens his efficiency, if he takes like a leap in certain areas, like if he becomes a better playmaker, I wouldn't even, you know, rule him out as an MVP if he's averaging like 22, 23 points per game, as long as the efficiency and everything else is tracking along. Like, I wonder if we've reached that point where the raw numbers may not do as much of a work anymore as they did previously.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's already a pretty efficient scorer. I think he's a much better playmaker and passer than people give him credit
Agreed.
for. I mean, some of his reads are very clever, creative reads that other big men don't make. So, yeah, I mean, I think like the thing that kind of bugs people is that he takes too many threes, but I mean, those are good shots for him, like he hit 35% last year, which is like a tick below average, but above average probably for a center. Um, yeah, and I think that keeps the defense honest as well. So I think those are good shots for him. Totally fine with his offense. He's not a top 10 offensive player like the other guys we're going to talk about, but I think he is top 25 certainly.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. So the main competitors for this award, I think, are primarily the usual suspects like Nikola Jokic, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Luka Doncic. Who else? Am I blanking on anyone, or are those the main guys?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's the typical top four. Top four from last year. It's going to be the same group.
Right. Yeah, I'm struggling to see anyone else like trying to squeeze themselves in. Like, if there is someone out there, could it like I wanted to say Giannis, but at the same time, I just don't like the Heat's roster construction at all. So I don't think they're going to necessarily win enough games for him to be like a viable option.
Yeah, I'd agree with you. I mean, I guess the other guy you could maybe throw in there is Jalen Brunson, just riding on the tails of this finals championship, and the Knicks are going to be good again. The award always goes to a team that's really, really good, and we know that the Knicks are probably going to be near the top of the East.
Brunson is not a bad pick. He would be a fun candidate. I mean, what he did in the finals absolutely provided some goodwill for him. I don't know if I have him as that caliber of player as the players we already mentioned, just in a vacuum. But I mean, finals MVP, won a chip, like he absolutely deserves to come in with that sort of pedigree and with that type of reputation. I don't think we're going to see Tatum in this conversation. Jaylen Brown also, to me, now seems completely out of that conversation. Not that he should ever be in it, but I know a lot of people were talking about him last year because now he's on a team that's so star-studded. Like, I'm really struggling to see how you get outside of those boxes. And to me, this just screams Wemby. But again, like the 65-game rule might also just end up messing with everything. Like, we've seen this a couple times now where this is something that you have to regulate thoroughly throughout the course of the season. So who knows? But if we're imagining a perfect world where everyone is healthy, yeah, it's Wemby, and it's an easy answer. And I almost hate that we agree, because that means we have to move on to DPOY, where I imagine we're also in full agreement.
Well, let me pose a more interesting argument to you then. Everybody's going to pick Wemby. Who is your number two guy if Wemby, gets hurt and falls short of the 65 games?
Shai is as my second. And like I normally I would love to say Jokic, but I think that Nuggets roster and that whole situation I don't know what the hell is going on with Denver these days, but I understand why Jokic is kind of refraining from signing an extension. I know he can sign for more if he waits, but even so, it feels like this thing has a ticking clock on it. Whereas in OKC, I think there's a little bit more stability.
I think Shai would definitely be deserving. I don't think he's going to win it. I think he has almost no shot of winning it for a couple different reasons.
Mm-hmm.
One, I mean, we saw how toxic the narrative was getting around him in the postseason. And I think that does leak over to the voters, to the media side. I mean, I would probably not let it affect me, but there's definitely a lot of groupthink in these award discussions. Also, this would be 3 times for him in a row to win. And again, there's this sort of like mental block for voters where they don't want to give it to the same guy 3 times. We saw that with Jokic when Embiid won it in, what was that, 2024?
Was it that recent?
2023, I think, is actually when Embiid got his MVP. Okay. Yeah. So, I don't think Shai is going to win it. If I had to pick a number 2, I'd probably actually go with Luka. Well, the reason for that is I think his counting stats are just going to be completely outrageous this year. When LeBron was off the floor, I looked this up, Data Ball R, his usage was already pretty high. It was 32.5%. for the season. With LeBron off the floor, it shot up to 42.1%, which is just like an insane number. You look at his counting stats, he averaged 29 points per 75 possessions on without LeBron, 29 points. Goes up to 39 points with LeBron off the floor. And his efficiency actually improved. So he was taking higher usage, scoring way up, and his true shooting percentage went from 60.3% to 62.5%. So it's not just like empty stats. His assists also went up from 7.6 to 9.1. So they added, a guy that he wanted. I heard that like he was really involved in the push for Walker Kessler. So at least I don't really know how great that fit is going to be, but he seems to think that that's the role man that's going to really allow him to blossom. They added more shooting and Mamu, Grimes, and Sexton, so the floor is going to be more open for him. I mean, like last year and the year before, the roster on the Lakers was kind of a mishmash of players. So they had the cap space, they had the ability to custom fit this team for him, as they did in Dallas, and you saw how far he took that team to the finals. So I think this could be, I don't think the Lakers are going to make the finals, but I think that they have a team that's going to make him look really, really good. And he is just going to have an outrageous year. So yeah, he's my runner-up pick here.
That's not a bad runner-up selection at all. Like the fact that he hasn't won an MVP yet also grinds him, I think. Like I know he keeps saying that, no, like it's a team game and, he's very like team-oriented. I think it's absolutely something that's in the back of his mind because the way he came into the league, that he just hit it in that manner. Like year 2, he was practically averaging a 30-point triple-double. I think it's almost incomprehensible if we go back 6 years and say, oh, well, he won't have an MVP by 2026. Like that would have blown a lot of people's minds. So like I'm almost at that point where I would almost be rooting for him a little bit because the talent level was never lacking. And as you said, he took the Mavs to the finals. So it's not like he's a losing player. It's not a bad one. I could see a scenario here especially to your point of the added floor spacing. He's just going to have so much more space to operate with now. Like, I wonder what his ultimate counting stats are going to look like after a full year. Like, are we looking at 35 points per game? Because I'm not ruling that out.
I think he's going to win the scoring title, yeah. I mean, he's done it before, and he has a bigger load. So I think that's a pretty safe bet.
That's not bad. Then it's time to go over to the defensive player of the year, where we might
have to do the same thing more. We might have to go for second place on DPOY because I have a feeling we're going to have the same guy again.
I think we're just going to lock this in for the next 5 years, Steph, honestly, when we're doing these podcasts, because like it's just Wemby. I mean, how could you not have him in there as your favorite if he makes the 65 game, criteria? Because he just changes everything. It's ridiculous. I mean, Evan Mobley is one I still have very highly rated. I think there's something there. I know Jaren Jackson Jr. has won one, and I'm just like, I'm not as high on him defensively because I also think part of defense is finishing possessions, like wrapping the defensive board, and he's just one of the worst rebounders I've ever seen in my life. So I'm probably more inclined to go Mobley over JJJ as my secondary. Is there someone else like in your mind that just kind of topples Mobley?
I got a new name coming up on the list. Scotty Barnes.
Oh, love it.
Scotty Barnes is one of the most underrated defenders in the league right now. It's hard to say he's underrated because he did finish 5th in Defensive Player of the Year this year. So I guess voters are paying a little bit of attention. He only made the second team all defense, though. I think that, this is another award where it's very based on team success. So you have to be part of usually like a top 5 defense. The Raptors were 5th last year. And I think Darko Rajakovic is a really good defensive coach. You look at when he took over, the Raptors were 25th on defense. Year 2 under Darko, 17th. Year 3, 5th. Every year they get a ton better. And the stuff they did in the offseason, I'm assuming that the Kawhi trade is going to go through.
Same.
Yeah, I know people have like varying opinions, but I feel like the league would just be in a bad place if they totally rescinded that trade. So,
I
I mean,
agree.
if Kawhi does get swapped for Brandon Ingram, I mean, that is a crazy, crazy upgrade.
Yeah.
Grady Dick was also like a weak defender, so getting him out of the rotation, and Mamu too. Mamu was not a good defender. So they're getting rid of some of their weaker defenders. They're adding Kawhi, who is not DPOY Kawhi, but he's still very good on that end of the floor. So I could definitely see a pathway where they're a top 3 defense. Scotty is their best player. He's switching 1 through 5, causing chaos, getting a ton of steals and blocks. There was only one guy in the league last year that got 100 steals and 100 blocks during the regular season, and that was Scotty Barnes. And a lot of those blocks, too, he got in the clutch. Those are the plays that show up and stick in voters' minds. He just has a way of rising to the moment. Alex Cruz is another guy that does this. It's just like finds a way to generate turnovers in the
Yeah.
last 2 minutes and swing games. So I really like Scotty Barnes. I think he might be the second best defender in the league.
I don't hate that whatsoever. And like when you say switch 1 through 5, like that should be taken literal, because like he can. Like we've seen him go on like guarding 6 foot nothing type of guys. We've seen him switch over to 7-footers. Like this is
He was guarding Wemby last year.
Yeah.
He was guarding Jalen Brunson. He was guarding Wemby. He was guarding De'Aaron Fox. I mean, every size player. People say, this guy guards 1 through 5. Nobody actually guards 1 through 5 except for maybe like 3 or 4 guys in the league. And Scotty Barnes is one of the guys that can actually do it.
Yeah. He's very Draymond-esque, like prime Draymond-esque in that regard. And I think if the trade gets official, the fact that Kawhi will come in as like the number 1 guy offensively, and if Emmanuel quickly is going to be fully healthy, again, from an offensive perspective, that is just going to lessen the offensive burden on Scotty, allowing him to just, like you said, free roam defensively and just wreak havoc. So I like that pick a whole bunch, because because so rarely does it go to, well, I don't know if he's a perimeter oriented player, but I don't think it goes to players who play on the perimeter a whole lot. Like DPOY have like historically been reserved mostly for big men. Scotty is not that. Like he's everything rolled up in one. Like again, you can play him on the wing for like a full game, play him on the perimeter for a full game. You can play him as an interior defender for a full game. Like you can just switch him all over. I said Draymond before. I almost want to pivot my comp to like prime Ben Simmons too, because Ben was one of those guys who could do that same thing defensively, at least.
Yeah, it's a good call.
Well, all right. So is there anyone else in the mix here? Someone like we think can come in and cause a debate?
I mean, I would say Chet is the other guy. The Thunder have an unbelievable defense as well, and it's more of a team aspect for them. I think Lou Dort was getting that shine as like the DPOY candidate for them. I think Chet is a lot more impactful. I mean, I believe, I haven't looked at the stats, but I think he finished second in the league in blocks, right? I mean, he's always right up there. His rim protection is awesome, so he is definitely a huge part of that defense. So I think he's the best defender on the Thunder. I would have him as a contender at the very least.
I don't hate that. I think we need to see how much he can sort of separate himself from what happened in the West Finals. I like usually.
Yeah, the narrative is going to go against him.
Right. It just is. But also I think from a mental perspective, like I'm usually not one of those people who like put a lot of stock into, someone has a bad series, this could affect him mentally for a long time. This time I am. Like the way he looked in the conference finals, like the look on his face, the complete absence of confidence, like there is definitely a part of me that is concerned that this is like something that's going to stick with him for a long time. Like I hope I'm wrong. I hope he comes back, this season and just goes, no, I'm fine. That was just a kink in the matrix. I'm fine. But like I still fear that this is something that could, throw him off a little bit.
I would agree with you, and I'm the same way. Like I think that people probably put a little bit too much stock into the playoffs, especially if it's just like one series. And Chet did play pretty solid defense in the playoffs. It was more just he completely disappeared on offense. But I think you are right
Yeah,
to be
that too.
concerned that this could be like a long-term thing for him. Just because, I mean, you could clearly see that he was just like not checked in to that moment.
Right. Right. And whenever he did try to check in, he was just shut down. And I think that just kind of made it even more
Yeah.
complicated. But like from a defensive perspective, I do agree with you. The long arms, the verticality, he's surprisingly switchable. He's light on his feet. Like, but it's also amazing to me that we haven't brought up Gobert, because like that just, I think the nails in the coffin with his chances now. Like, I know he's going to get more responsibilities in Minnesota, because he's basically the lone big man who's going to get,
Yeah.
key
He's gonna have
minutes.
to stop a lot of
But
stuff.
right, and he's so much older. I think we've seen that there's been a little bit of a physical decline in recent years. I think that's just too taxing of a responsibility at this point.
I mean, I think he's still a very good. I think he's still a top 10 defender in
Mm.
the league for sure. But yeah, again, the voter fatigue. He's already won it 4 times, I believe.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
it's going to be tough for him.
yeah. All right. So, rookie of the year, and there are a lot of different ways you can go here, because this class is super, super interesting. Who do you have?
I've always been a Boozer guy. I mean, I think that he is the most polished player in this class. I think he has the highest feel, and I'm just a sucker for the players with high feel. That's always the guys that I love watching the most. I think he's going to play a lot. I also think the Grizzlies are going to be better than people expect. I don't think they're going to be like a great playoff team or anything, but people are expecting them to be one of the worst teams in the league. And what happens in the regular season is that teams with really good depth tend to overperform. So I do think they're a team that's going to hit their over. I think their over is like the low 30s or something. I think pairing him with Zach Edey is really good, because, the one legitimate weakness of Boozer is he's not a good rim protector. Edey is a monster rim protector, and they're just going to be
Yep.
such an awesome rebounding team with those two as well. He just has so much polish, and he knows how to fit into any situation. I think that he is the rookie that is definitely going to get off to the fastest start of the top 4 guys. Yeah, so that's my pick. That's my case for Boozer.
Then you and I are 3 for 3, because I'm also going Cam
No.
Booster for the reasons. Yeah, I know. I was considering going Caleb Wilson, but like the summer league didn't fully convince me yet. Like, not in terms of like not being an interesting NBA player. I think he actually changed his entire narrative, which is amazing. But I don't know if he's going to come in and like when the real NBA hits and be as polished from day one. Booster to me, for the same reasons you outlined, like the high feel is one thing. It's also the shot volume that he's going to have at his disposal. We know that he doesn't really rush shots. So if he's going to have so many opportunities, we're also going to see him, make passes, make reads, just like reach the initial line of the defense and then react to that in terms of like dishing out to the corners. Like, we're just going to see him do stuff basically. And that is always like the primary thing we always want to see from rookies. Like, can you just execute at a high level? And can you do so consistently? I think a lot of these guys can, but I think Boozer is going to stand out in year one. I don't necessarily think that he's going to be the best player from the draft class, but I just think from at this point right now, he's by far the most polished, and it just wouldn't surprise me due to that polish that he just comes in and is a freaking beast right off the bat. Like a 2010 season in his rookie year wouldn't even shock me.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's going to be really good. You touched on Caleb Wilson a little bit. We can go into him. Yeah, I think he showed that he could shoot definitely more than we thought at North Carolina. I think what did he hit, like 9 threes in one of those games or something crazy? I was at that game.
Yeah, 7. So seven threes
7?
all
Yeah.
year at UNC.
He had the dunk of the
7.
summer league too.
Yeah, that was crazy.
Yeah, I think he, out of the 4, is probably going to be. There were concerns about his defense, which I think were pretty legitimate in North Carolina, where he was a big event creator. He's good at blocking shots and getting steals, but his awareness was not terrific. His technique was not terrific. So There was a thought of like how well he would perform defensively in the NBA. I mean, I thought he looked pretty good, and more importantly, the other rookies did not look nearly as good. The other top 4 guys. So I think he's going to be the best defender out of the group. The reason why I didn't have him is just his fit is it's going to be kind of rough for him. Like I think people are underselling that, this is going to be a Bulls team that just does not have shooting.
Right.
Norman Powell, they got him at the very end of free agency. They really needed him because he's the only guy that can shoot volume threes, really. Modest is an okay shooter. Modest Bazell is an okay shooter. Josh Giddey has turned into a guy who can hit wide open ones, but nobody is really guarding him. I mean, they're still allowing him to take. He's going to make like 1 3 a game, and teams are fine with that. And then Nick Claxton, who he's going to be playing next to as a starting center, is a complete non-shooter.
Yeah.
And he's really going to clog the floor. And then the guys off the bench, they got Okoro. Jalen Smith can shoot. Dalen Swain can't shoot at all. Noah Senge can't really shoot. So they're just a bunch of guys that are going to clog the floor for him. And that's his thing, is like he drives into the paint better than anybody. And he has these crazy dunks. It's going to be interesting to see if he can still do that on the Bulls.
Yeah, I agree. Like there are definitely some issues there. And even if he turns into a quality shooter right off the bat, which would be such a wild thing to see develop in real time for the Bulls, like it's just the lack of spacing around him, because then sure, he can hit shots, but that's not going to give him the ample space to go in and get those dunks and the layups and the drives. So I think Boozer definitely has more in his bag in that sense. Like Boozer is probably more, half court oriented in the way that he can just create in a slow paced environment. So like even if you play high pace, slow pace, even if the spacing isn't optimal, you can sort of dump it in there. He'll produce something. It just feels like it's his award to lose. But at the same time, I mean, Dubonsa and Peterson, like I'm not just throwing them aside either. Like Peterson could absolutely come in and just be one of the best players on the Jazz right off the bat and be their primary perimeter player. Like he could be a decision maker, he could be a scorer, he could become virtually everything. And Dubonsa could be this major connector who also gives you 15, 18 points per game on high efficiency. Like there's a real debate here. I think, well, a potential for a debate later in the season. Like it'd be amazing if we have like 4 or 5 players just duking it out for this award.
Yeah, to be clear, I don't feel super confident in my Boozer pick. I think any of the 4 guys, I think it is going to be one of those 4, but any of those 4 could win the award. The other awards, like I'm pretty sure who's going to win. But with Dubonsa, I mean, the pros of him, he looked pretty good in Summer League, just driving to the rim. Nobody could stop him. I think things working against him is, Trey and AD are going to dominate a lot of those possessions. I think there's going to be an adjustment period as he learns defense. He admitted that he didn't try in college, that he was really lazy, just not what you want to hear. So that's going to be an issue for him. I think he has to clean up his shot selection a little bit.
Yeah.
He's a very good contested mid-range shooter. He was at BYU at least. He was not at Summer League. He just takes too many contested mid-range shots early in the clock, which not even like the greatest stars in the league do that. So he's going to have to clean that up a little bit.
Yeah.
And then with Peterson, he did not have a good Las Vegas Summer League. He had a good Utah summer. I didn't watch his Utah games, but I was at both of his Vegas Summer League games. There's a hope that he could play point guard. He did that in high school, but he had 26 assists to 24 turnovers in Summer League. So I think that is a little bit optimistic in his rookie year. So again, another guy who I don't think he's going to get quite as good of a start as Caleb Wilson and Cameron Boozer. Maybe that doesn't matter though, because like we saw last year with the Knippel versus Cooper Flag debate, that it doesn't matter as much how you start. It's really about how you finish. Cooper just finished so strong. He took that award away.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, maybe Dubonsa or Peterson figures it out, the second half of the season. And I think that's where the award is going to be won. So yeah, we'll see how these guys do, the last month or two.
Nice. We'll just take a short commercial break and then we'll be back with 6th man of the year. All right, Steph. It is time to look at 6th man of the year. Who do you got?
Dylan Harper. I'm picking all Spurs, I guess, but I mean, Dylan Harper averaged 18, 6-3 in the finals.
Yeah.
I think he was better than De'Aaron Fox. He's clearly better than De'Aaron Fox in the finals. I mean, that's not a totally fair comparison because Fox was playing hurt, which was very obvious to see. But I mean, he's definitely a guy that should be starting. Is that too obvious of a pick?
No, it's not obvious. Like, the reason I didn't go with him is because I think he's going to end up starting. Like, if we had known right now Dylan Harper would start a maximum of 20 games next year, I would have gone Dylan Harper. I wouldn't even have batted an eye. But I just don't think that he's going to end up starting that few games. I think he's going to be, like, well, when, like, even before Christmas, frankly, he's going to be a full-time starter. I think he's that good. I think the Spurs are going to have to look themselves in the mirror after the first, 10, 15 games and just go, all right, like, we need to get this kid in here and we need to give him like full-time starter minutes. Like, we just need to unleash him in whatever capacity that means. That's at least my projection. So that's why I didn't go with him. I went with Anthony Simons. Because I don't think there's a big risk of him. Yeah, well, I mean, look, he could end up starting if there are injuries, but like when we're approaching, awards and awards predictions, we usually don't bake injuries into it. And as of right now, there's no chance in hell he would start over Maxey or VJ Edgecombe. And I just think his role is so straightforward on this Sixers team. Like, he's going to come in, he's going to space the floor, he's going to be the primary ball handler off the bench, at least. You're not going to play full bench lineups, presumably, when you have this many stars, but he's going to be able to handle the ball a little bit when he's on from the bench unit. He's going to produce points. He's not a great defender, he's not a great playmaker, but nevertheless, he'll always pick up some numbers in those regards. So I think the counting stats, the fact that he'll probably also close games here and there because of the floor spacing, I just think this is like a perfect 6-man sort of situation for him. And given the history of the award, like, so many award voters have always gone to like, oh, the player who scores the best off the bench, that could be him. I'm not ruling that out. Even if the Sixers have like a grotesquely efficient offense, I wouldn't be surprised if he's a major cog in that machine.
He was a very good 6-man for the Celtics last year, and he didn't play much for the Bulls after he got traded. So you can't really speak too much on that time. But yeah, I mean, this is a guy that was a starter for most of his career, showed that he could easily average 20 points a game. I think he got much better he was really bad as a defender in Portland, but yeah, got much better with the Celtics, with Joe Mazzulla screaming at him and doing all sorts of insane motivational tactics that we'll never know about. So yeah, I like that. The one thing I would say about Ant Simons is the Sixers very clearly have a weakness with their backup bigs. They need to add somebody. They need to make a trade. And the way their contracts are structured is everybody's making a crap ton of money. Then there's VJ Edgecombe, who they're never trading. They have a bunch of minimum guys who they can't bring anything back for because they're hard capped. So the only guy they can really trade is Ant Simons, who doesn't even make that much money. I think he's making $6 million a year off the top of my head. But he's the guy that really they need to trade. Maybe like him and Phylon, they could package to get somebody. So I don't know if he's going to finish the year on the team. But if he does, I think that's a good pick. I'll give you another name here for my the second guy I had on the list, and tell me what you think. I think this is one of your favorites. You're an Anthony Black guy, right?
I am. That's not a bad one.
So he's another guy. He's another guy that's probably good enough to start. I think he is going to be hurt by what you were saying, the archetype of the guy that wins this award, who just puts up buckets. I mean, he did average 15 points a game last year, but his greatest strength is not scoring. It's more just like all-around play, great defender. He took such a huge leap in his third year, which I loved seeing, just becoming more confident as a driver. And I think he always had that ability. It was just like a mental thing that he figured out. He has such cool dunks. I mean, he had the dunk of the year according to NBA social media, where he dunked over 4 Grizzlies in Berlin. I'm sure that went crazy in Europe. You could tell me about that. And he's going to be in a contract year. He's going to be an RFA this summer. So he has a lot of motivation to play well and get paid. I think that he should get paid. I think he's awesome. And under the radar guy that really deserves more shine. And the Magic could be better this year too with better offense, hopefully, with a new coach and Sean Sweeney.
Yeah. No, I agree. I think that's a good call. My colleague Jonas from Warner Brothers and HBO Max, where we're announcing games together, he was in Berlin and he saw it in person. And
Oh,
yeah, oh yeah, exactly. That was like he just nobody quite understood what happened, which like is ridiculous. Like, and it's also like the randomness that it was Anthony Black, right? Like, no, like we've seen him get up, but like we never saw that, like dunking on 4 people. I don't think I'd ever had like Anthony Black in that conversation. Like if we were sitting around going, who could do that?
He's had some pretty sick dunks.
Yeah,
he can get up there.
But like you never like it was the nastiness of it, right? Like he was so unapologetic, just going for it.
I think that was the only game on at that time too, right? Because like it was on at kind of a strange time, so everybody was watching that game.
Yep.
So yeah, I watched that one. I was watching it live, and I was like, "What is he doing?
Yeah,
what? He's what?" I just lost my mind. It was, I mean, that was definitely one of the best dunks of the year.
Yeah. Yeah, if not the dunk of the year. But I love the pick too, because I would almost prefer yours to mine, because I'm a little bit tired of the history of always going with the offensive minded player off the bench, like a guy who can connect or a guy who's an elite defender. And like, why not? Like 6 men can be so much more than just scoring. So I wouldn't hate.
And he does score. It's just like he does more stuff too.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, look, the 15 points per game, as you alluded to, they're real. Like he took a major leap in that regard, just from the 3-point line as well. I think he was only at 33% or something along those lines. But even so, he took them, and he took them without hesitation. I think that matters just in terms of like building confidence. Like I wouldn't be surprised if Anthony Black is like a guy who is just so undoubtedly worth a full-time starting position, more or less right now.
Yeah, that's the other thing I would say about him is he might not qualify just because Jalen Suggs is always hurt. The Magic just always have weird injuries going on. So that happened last year. He started a lot of games for them, and when he had that extended role, he stepped up his scoring quite a bit. So I think he showed that he is capable of more if you give him more opportunity.
Yeah.
But he might, end up sneaking his way into that starting lineup.
Right.
Too.
I think so too. Moving on to most improved player. I have some thoughts, but I'm gonna hold off on those. So let me get your pick first and foremost.
Okay, I only had one guy for this.
All right.
And I am going with Zach Edey.
Nice. All right.
I think that the Grizzlies, I said they're going to be better than expectation, but they're probably still not going to be good enough for him to win this award. But I think he's going to have a monster year. I mean, he was at 14 and 11 last year in only 26 minutes per game. Nobody talked about him because he only played 11 games before he had surgery on his left ankle.
Mm-hmm.
So there's question. He didn't play a lot during his rookie. I think he was like in the 50s for games in his rookie year. There's this worry that, he's so huge. He's 7'3", 305, and you just worry that he's going to be one of these guys that's not durable in the NBA. I don't really know how much that's true, because at Purdue, this dude was an Iron Man. He only missed 1 game in 4 years, and it's been kind of the same injury. It's this left ankle that he hurt for the first time in Summer League as a rookie. He just kept on hurting that left ankle, had surgery on it. Hopefully that totally fixes his issues. If he does play, his minutes were kind of low too, because I think they are somewhat protecting him in some bad matchups, but he did move better than we thought he would defensively coming out of Purdue. I think his defensive concerns were a little bit overblown, and he's shown some other stuff they didn't show at Purdue either. He's hitting some threes in the NBA. He's an awesome rim protector.
Mm-hmm.
I have him as a number 15 center in the league already, and I think that he could easily move into top 10 territory by the end of the year.
Love it. I think that's a good one. And it would also signal that he's finally healthy, which I think all of us have been looking forward to. Like just for the story alone, I would be rooting for that, because that would be such a great part of the story. So I'm going to go in a different direction, and people who have listened to this podcast for 11 years, or no, 10 years, my bad, getting ahead of myself there, 10 years, know that I have a rule when it comes to most improved player. I never go with former lottery picks, and I never go with second-year players. I'm breaking one of those rules today, and I'm going to go with a guy who's a former lottery pick. And this is one that is really out there, and it's fine. I'll take the criticism. It like last year, I think who the hell did I went with where you were like, no? I think I went with Cam Whitmore.
I think you went with Day'Ron Sharp, I want to say.
No, I went with Cam Whitmore, but
Cam Whitmore, yeah, that's who you picked?
That was but Day'Ron Sharp, I like him too. Like it wouldn't have taken a lot. It wouldn't have been a logical stretch for me to just go that route. I could have. No, I'm gonna go with Ousmane Dieng from Milwaukee. Like yeah, I know. He did some stuff after he came to Milwaukee at the end of the season. Only 30 games, like 11 points, 4.5 boards, 3.5 assists. But like the playmaking actually looked like real. He started hitting the 3 ball at a higher rate. Like he's still got that lanky 6'9" frame. If he's built confidence throughout the summer, like he's 23, so now he's like grown into himself a little bit more. Like, am I putting money on this? No, I am not. But there's a part of me who just kind of says he's also one of the staple guys. Like he's not a new guy coming in, like where the Heat guys coming in, they're going to have to figure, their role in Milwaukee out, where he's had this head start on like 30 games. And I don't think that he's going to see a decline in minutes necessarily. Like everyone has to step up and fill the Giannis void. I think he is also one of those players who are going to get that opportunity right off the bat. It wouldn't shock me if he's going to get like 28, 30 minutes per night and actually do very, very well in those minutes. Like, again, this is a stretch, but what would be the fun in going with the most obvious selections?
All right, so for the aggregators out there, just to clarify Mort's point, he's saying that Ousmane Dieng is going to replace Giannis.
Right, that's the
Bucks number one.
No, but like he also has, I'm fully aware that there is like competition at the spot, like Nate Amend, Jaime Jaquez as well coming in, Khalil Ware, like the big man situation is going to look different. Like I'm aware that shots are going to go around. But at this age and like the fact that he started to finally look like a version of himself that we've kind of been waiting for, it just wouldn't shock me, right? And like I'm going out on a limb here, but like if I nail it, I want credit.
I think you're the only person that's going to pick the Oos to be loose,
right?
So you don't have to worry about getting credit.
Who else is out there in terms of like players that seem like they could be, a breakout candidate?
I didn't have anyone else on my list, but just off the top of my head, maybe Zachary Risache, He comes to mind. Yep. I watched him a lot in Atlanta. Quinn Snyder struggled to say nice things about him when we asked him. But he's a guy that he could definitely use a fresh start. I mean, I don't think he played particularly well in Atlanta, but he hit threes. He has the tools to be a good player, and I think he should get some more opportunity in Dallas. So he'd be a guy I'd look at. It'd be a nice story too,
It would.
Redemption story for the number one pick.
It would be nice. Because God, that has been a horrendous first 2 seasons for him as well. I can't help but wonder.
He was okay as a rookie, but yeah, last year it was rough.
Yeah, you're right. Like his rookie season was okay, but like everyone kind of expected him to build on it, and he just didn't. He did the exact opposite. Right. I think there's something to be said also about Peyton Watson. But again, like it depends. Like, where's he going to play? Is he going to end up back in Denver? Like, what are we looking at here? Are they going to have to ship someone else out of town to make room for him under, the second apron? Like there's just so many things going on there. But I think there's more to Peyton Watson than we know. Like what we saw last season, I think that is the start of it. Like I don't think necessarily he has this Tracy McGrady leap in him when he goes elsewhere, if he does. But I don't necessarily think we can rule it out that he, the self-creation stuff, the pull-up shooting, like I think there's something there. And I would be interested to see what goes on in that whole situation.
Okay. Let me give you another semi-busted top pick.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think about Scoot Henderson? He is in a super crowded guard rotation.
Yeah.
And last year was kind of a lost year due to injury. But when he did come back at the end of the year, he looked pretty good.
Yeah.
Playoffs, he had some nice games. And he's in a contract year too. He's going to be a restricted free agent. I think very interesting second draft guy. I think it's somewhat likely that he goes to another team because, as I said, Portland just has way too many point guards. And, he has the talent, so let's see if he can figure it out.
I mean, our mutual buddy, Ricky O'Donnell, brought up Scoot as a Bulls target at some point.
Let's go.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. And not just for the Bulls, but just generally speaking, like the second draft philosophy, because you're right. Like it's Dame, it's Drew, it's Ja Morant. Like at some point, something's gonna give, right? And I wouldn't be surprised if teams are out there basically saying, all right, well, let's see what we can do with Scoot, because how many minutes is he even going to play right off the bat? Like, is he going to crack 25, 30 minutes a night over the first month of the season? That it almost seems illogical. Like, how?
One of those guys is going to get traded. I feel like Drew's probably going to get traded, but yeah, they have to move at least one of those guys.
Right. Yeah, but Scoot is not a bad selection here. I think there's something interesting there. It's wild that we're kind of talking about him in that vein, because remember when he came in, everyone was like, "Oh yeah, he's going to be an all-star point guard. Like in year 2, he's going to be this, and that." And injuries and the lack of a reliable jump shot, but now he's finally turned the corner a little bit. Like it feels like the knowledge that we have about Scoot right now is adequate, but we'll just know so much more a year from now. Like this fourth year that he's entering into is going to determine so much of his immediate future.
Completely agree. Yeah, it's a make or break year for him.
Yeah, really. Coach of the year.
All right. Well, I already touched upon this a little bit, but I think Darko Rakovic is going to win.
Not bad.
The reason for that is the other top guys have already won recently, so it's kind of hard for them to win 2 of these. I think the Raps are going to be good, as I said. Probably top 3 team in the East with Boston and New York. Their defense is going to be amazing. Their offense just needs to get a little bit better, which it should, because while Brandon Ingram carried a pretty big load on that team, he's not necessarily the most efficient scorer. Kawhi is an efficiency monster.
Mm-hmm.
I also think Darko is just a really likable guy. He's got great energy, very relatable, gives awesome quotes. The media loves this guy, and we vote on the award. So he is going to get a lot of shine there, and he is going to get a lot of credit if it does work, because this is a tricky situation with Kawhi. I mean, there's so much distractions going on. If he can get his guys to play through it, which I think he will, then it's going to be a really nice story that he sells at the end of the year.
Yeah. I don't hate that. That would be wonderful. That would be a good story. I'm going to go with Joe Mazzulla, and it's because I think his system, like you alluded to earlier, just works. Look, we all know.
He got mad when we gave it to him last year.
Yeah. I mean, look.
Because I didn't want it. I was the guy that asked him. He told me to never ask that question again.
Well, I'm going to give it to him again this year because, look, even though they clearly gave up the best player in the Jaylen Brown trade, getting Paul George back there, I think he's a better natural fit for that system. This is not me saying Paul George is going to have a better season than Jaylen Brown, because I don't think so. But I think just the way that a Paul George can finagle himself into Mazzulla's system is going to be huge. I think Mazzulla can lean into that. I think he can squeeze the last, elite drops remaining out of Paul George. I think he can just find a way to sneak into 55 wins. And that just matters. It just matters when you have a coach with a reliable system where you might have a lot of players who don't necessarily, fit the mold, where he just goes in and, we'll make sure you fit the mold. He's just that type of dude. So I'm going to go with Joe on this one. But I mean, there are a lot of good coaches out there as well. Like there really is. I could go in a myriad of ways, but Mazzulla right now, he is like, I'm constantly in awe of what he does.
I would say that it would be really hard for Missoula to win because he won it last year, and because I agree with you about how good he is, how he got his group last year to massively overachieve in the regular season. But you got to look at this guy's playoff record.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm a huge Missoula fan. I love his personality. I love his X's and O's. I think he's really smart, really great motivator. In the playoffs, something else happens because he's lost a lot of series where he has been a pretty significant favorite, and his team just like kind of collapses. So I think even it doesn't matter how good the Celtics are in the regular season; they could be the number 1 seed in the East. Voters are still going to remember all these playoff performances and be like, "Well, I'm going to give it to someone else."
Which is so annoying because it's a regular season award, and that's what we have to like bake into it. But you're right; that is just a narrative that voters are going to take into account. You're not wrong. Mitch Johnson, I think that is also like usually I think he's pretty underrated, but I think the grotesqueness of the finals, unfortunately, that was like you said earlier.
Yeah.
That was
again, like it doesn't matter what he does. Like, yeah, people are just going to hold the finals against him.
right.
It's going to take him maybe next year he'll win it.
Exactly.
Like 2027, 28.
Yep. And that's where I'm at too. Like, I just don't think as of right now that the voters will have the right frame of mind with him. But if they then win the championship, which they could, that just changes everything. I wonder if there's anyone else who are like because are you really going to go Mark Daignault? Like, you could.
I have a name for you, and you're going to be like, yes, I was forgetting this guy.
All right.
So there's a coach out there who has won this award once. It was when he was a rookie head coach in 2002. He's in his 24th season as a coach. Everybody says this guy is an amazing coach. Do you know who I'm talking about?
2002. Oh God. No, because that can't be Spo because Spo wasn't coaching in 2.
It's not Spo.
Who the hell is that?
Okay, I'll give you the answer.
Yeah.
It's Rick Carlisle. Okay, this guy won the coach of the
right.
year when he was at his worst point of coaching, okay, in 2002. He's 24 years of experience. Everybody knows this guy's a top 3 coach in the league. How has he only won this award one time? And it was on a Pistons team. They're just like, whatever. We don't even remember that Pistons team. So, the Pacers are set up to have a really good storyline as well. They won 19 games last year, 52 years ago. They were leading at halftime of Game 7 of the finals. They very conceivably could have won that finals if Tyrese Halliburton had not gotten hurt. So I'm not super high on the Pacers on the regular season just because they weren't even that great of a regular season team that year that they did go to the finals. And I think Halliburton's going to need some time to play himself back into shape. They got a bunch of new pieces in Zubac and Kelly Oubre. But if he does figure it out quickly, or if they just become torrid at the end of the regular season and get back to 50 wins, I think he's going to win the award.
Oh, that's not bad. Yeah, you're right. I do like that. Carlisle is one of the better coaches out there. I haven't thought about him. And again, it might be because of the durability or the longevity. Again, it's almost like Spo, right? Like you reach that point where you start to take the veteran coaches for granted because they've just been around forever and you kind of forget about them. That's interesting. I wouldn't hate a Carlisle Coach of the Year win here at all, especially if the Pacers just come out flying with the return of Hallie and everything works. I still think
they're a top 4 team in the East. I think you have to give it to them. Yeah. I'm kind of nervous about them getting there just because of expecting Halliburton to get right back to his level. I think that might be a little bit tricky. We saw Jason Tatum, he was good, but he wasn't Jason Tatum, for the Celtics regular season.
Yeah, and like maybe I'm still a little nervous about like Achilles injuries. Like I still think it's such a big ask to players to come back from those injuries and just be themselves like immediately and right off the bat. KD did,
and he had shingles.
True. Yeah. That on top of it. So like, what is the realistic expectation for Hallie here? Like, I don't even think it's reasonable to expect all-star level.
Well, I mean, when you look at that finals year, he was going through back stuff, and he wasn't great the first maybe like month of the season.
Right.
And then he became a top 10 guy, and they just took off. So, I think it might kind of follow that same trajectory. Where, maybe I think he'll still be an all-star just because the stuff he does, with the hit-ahead passing, I think he's still going to have the decision-making where he never turns the ball over and he gets a ton of assists. I think maybe like his shot might take some time to come around again and, his driving ability and stuff like that. So, Yeah, I mean, I think he'll still make an All-Star team.
I mean, I would love that. It's just I don't want to put that on him in year one of returning from like an Achilles heel.
Sure.
That I just think that is so unreasonable when you consider like the magnitude of the injury. Let's wrap up, Steph, with executive of the year, and of course, you go first, sir.
Okay, I have two different schools of thought here. I'll go with the first one, which is, the Jaylen Brown trade was just such a weird trade.
Mm-hmm.
Whoever wins the trade in the first year is going to have a ton of press around it, whether that's Mike Gansey or Brad Stevens. Both took pretty big gambles. So I think that, voters might be results oriented there. And whichever one of those teams is higher in the standings, that guy could have a pretty good shot of winning.
Yeah. Yep, that's why I have Mike Gansey at this point. I just do. I think when you gather this type of offseason and the talent level, like again, I know that he comes in and he did it on his own terms, but signing LeBron James, I kind of feels like a significant addition. And then you can say all day long that, hey, LeBron made his own decision. Nobody really signed him. He signed with them. Yeah, I guess there's some level of truth to that, but like, should that count against your resume? I don't think so.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the Sixers could go in so many different directions, though.
Right.
That's why I don't have Gansey as my pick. Like, if they do, even if they finish like 5th in the East, I think that would probably be enough for him to win. I think there is some downside risk where they're worse than that. I don't think they're going to be like 8th or anything, but I think they could be 6th or 7th.
Yeah.
If Embiid gets hurt. I said before, their center depth is total dog crap behind him. Yeah, so it's going to depend a lot on results, and
I agree.
a lot on the health of Embiid, how much Embiid can play.
Yeah, no, you're not wrong. There's definitely some level of, what do you call it, like blow up potential, and
yeah, there's also potential that they could be like the top 3 seed in the East and win the championship.
Win the whole thing.
So obviously, if that happens, he's winning.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. All right. Well, I mean, look, that for once we weren't even that far off from one another. That is not normal for us so far over the first 3 years. So let's just go through our picks one by one so people just can get on the board here. I have MVP Wemby, you do as well. DPOY Wemby, you as well. We both agree also that Cam Boozer is going to be the Rookie of the Year. 6-man, I had Anthony Simons, and you had, hit me,
Dylan Harper with a runner-up of Anthony Black.
There we go. MIP Ousmane Dieng for me, and you had
Zach Edey.
There we go. Coach of the Year, Joe Mazzulla for me, and I believe it was Rick Carlisle for you. And then we kind of
Darko.
Oh, so Darko. Sorry, Darko, but Carlisle was like an alternate, right?
Right.
Yeah. And then, do we agree, like with Mike Gansey, or are we just kind of letting that stew? Is that a stewing award?
Well, that's the easy choice.
Right.
So my other guy for exec was Ansi Saleh. I think he's been amazing both of his years in Atlanta. I'm super mad that the Bulls didn't try to throw him the bag and instead got his number 2 in Bryson Graham, which, the jury's still on Bryson Graham. He might be good. But Ansi had like a proven track record of really being a shrewd GM.
Yeah.
And I think he continued that this offseason, drafting Kingston Flemings, Zuby Ejiofor. I don't know how he got Henry Vasar with, I believe it was like the number 51 pick or something. That's crazy. That guy had a first-round grade.
Yeah.
And the trades he made too. He got Lou Dort. He got Ryan Nembhard, who's a good backup point guard. Aaron Wiggins. He got a pick for taking on Devin Carter. And then in free agency, he signed CJ McCollum to a good deal, who was like a pivotal part of their team.
Yep.
He overpaid for Jock Landale, but it was only for a year. And Jock Landale was also like super critical. They really badly missed him in the playoffs after Goga Batadze cheap shot at him at the end of the year. Couldn't play in the playoffs. And also the decisions he didn't make. He didn't overpay for Jonathan Kuminga.
Yeah.
He didn't overpay for a Jaylen Brown trade, which Jaylen is from Atlanta, so a lot of people suspected that the Hawks might get in on that. He's keeping the powder keg dry. The Hawks have a lot of assets to continue to improve and make a huge swing if they want to. So yeah, Ansi, I think 3 years from now, the Hawks are going to be really good, and people are going to realize that he's doing what Sam Presti did 5 years ago,
Yeah.
where he's really setting the table for something nice.
Yeah. I don't disagree. I don't even think it's going to be 3 years. I think what they're doing right now is super impressive. Their cap sheet is so streamlined and it's so clean. Like they just don't have, bad contracts. Like even the Jock Lane deal, you can pivot off and attach draft equity if you want to and get something better. Like their flexibility is outrageous.
Yeah, I mean, fans don't really care about that, but it is important, as I said, when you look back 3 years from now.
Yeah, it is. It is. That is how you build the foundation to something that is achievable and
Yeah,
absolutely.
and when you take shortcuts, you see it too. The teams that just like cap out at the 6th seed or whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why.
Yep. You're not wrong. Steph, thank you for joining me today. Can you tell our listeners where they can find your work, sir?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not really doing too much, but before the season starts, I always rank all 30 starters of every position. I do top 150 starters, which I think I'm the only person that does that. So that's very challenging and fun. Also, I think I know I was the first person. I think other people have started doing this, but I do top 100 defenders. So those are all stories that are coming out probably in October, so not for a while. But when the season does start to roll around, when you start to get more NBA topics in the news, look out for those.
Sounds good. And for everyone listening in, thank you for doing so. And until we talk again, have a good one and stay safe, everyone.